The main issue now and what's keeping people up at night is illegal immigrants coming into this country, murdering someone in Uxbridge and sexually assaulting young girls. And you think that's fine?
It's not just about illegal.
No, I've never said that's right, and you know full well I've never said that's right.
Okay.
So don't throw accusations around that you cannot back up.
Reform councillor Laila Cunningham takes on Jeremy Corbyn over immigration, and the stakes are your safety, services and taxes. In the clip, Corbyn reaches for the NHS, arguing that without migrants there'd be no hospital. Cunningham answers with crime fears, pointing to illegal immigrants and an alleged case of murdering someone in Oxbridge plus sexually assaulting young girls. He bristles, "Don't throw accusations you can't back up." Then the labels fly: xenophobic, racist and fascist for even mentioning it. If leaders can't speak straight, you pay in trust and policy. Who dodged the hard questions, and what did the cameras miss?
But I'm not opposed to tightening rules for visas. That's just common sense. I'd like to see upskill British labour force and give that to British people who are here. But you know what really keeps people up at night? It's definitely not TfL workers who came here, like you say, followed the rules, paid taxes. It's the thousands of illegal migrants who've arrived by boat, are being housed in hotels in London, paid for by the taxpayer. They're completely unvetted, and then they go on to commit the most horrific crimes, while ministers claim they can't deport them. But somehow they're very eager to deport TfL workers who've done nothing wrong. But they don't want to deport migrants. The priorities are all wrong, and I want to know why they can remove TfL workers but not illegal migrants.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about that, but first of all, just to say that TfL say they are looking at cases like Avi's to see what they can do. But let's talk a bit more about Reform UK and your policies. You want to go further than Labour, remove potentially hundreds of thousands of immigrants who currently do have the right to live here permanently under the indefinite leave to remain system. So just to explain, that is different to Avi, who's here on a temporary work visa, but for many who aren't indefinite leave to remain, isn't the reality that lots of those people affected, like Jeremy said, do jobs that other people in this country don't want to do?
Yeah, I mean, we have millions of people that could do those jobs and are out of work, and we have a huge welfare bill that needs to be cut. So I'd like to see those jobs go to people who are already here. I think we've relied on foreign cheap labour for way too long. And by the way, we're not going to kick people out hundreds of thousands. That's not the plan. The plan is if they are skilled, then they can apply for a 5-year visa. And there will be certain conditions, and they're pretty basic. Or if they've been here for a very long time, they can apply for citizenship. It's just what any country does. We want people to come here who contribute to the country.
Here's the fight, in plain English. Reform councillor Laila Cunningham went on TV with Jeremy Corbyn for a heated immigration debate. She argues the system is upside down. People who followed the rules get squeezed, while illegal arrivals get housed in hotels on the taxpayer dime. Corbyn fires back that talking like that fuels prejudice, and he says if you got rid of all of them, the NHS wouldn't function. The conflict is simple: borders and enforcement versus moral shaming, but the hospital's argument. And it matters because it hits your safety, your taxes, and whether politicians protect citizens first or protect a broken system. In the next segment, focus on the contrast she draws between rule-following workers and illegal crossings, and the single point she keeps hammering: priorities.
And I think most of the British public feel that all we hear about is tax rises, and a big part of that is the Boris wave that came in. You know, the indefinite leave to remain. Some of them will be eligible for benefits, and the British public can't afford it.
Yeah, Jeremy, what's your view on immigration? What's your policies going to be?
First of all, this simplistic nonsense from Reform has to be challenged. It's nonsense. They know full well.
What's nonsense?
You're just speaking. Well, hang on, can I finish?
Well, I mean, you called me nonsense.
Okay, so let him answer.
Your endless attacks with your party on refugees, on migrants, on people on indefinite leave to remain, your endless bile of prejudice against people in our society causes an awful lot of damage in every community. And your argument that we can somehow or other get rid of all these people and all those jobs are going to be filled. Go into any hospital, look where people come from, look at the work they do. If you got rid of all of them, there would be no hospital. You know that, and I know that.
No, I don't know that.
We'll go into a hospital and
my sister's a retired consultant. My nephew works in the NHS. My sister was in the NHS system a long time, and she died of cancer in the NHS system. I've been into hospitals, and you know, a lot of nurses are getting refused. It's very difficult to get a position as a doctor here because they are being filled by foreigners, and people are desperate to work in the NHS but can't. And the fact that we can't rely on our own workforce is that's the dangerous rhetoric for here. By the way, sorry, we're not talking about getting rid of immigrants. My parents are an immigrant. I'm not talking about getting rid of them. When the main issue now and what's keeping people up at night is illegal immigrants coming into this country, murdering someone in Oxbridge and sexually assaulting young girls.
That exchange backs up her core claim. She's not attacking immigrants as people. She's targeting policy and enforcement, according to the transcript. It also shows how quickly the conversation turns into labels instead of solutions. And when taxpayer-paid hotels enters the picture, it stops being abstract and becomes a kitchen table issue. Now listen for Corbyn's exact wording about hospitals, and then catch her pushback using her own family and NHS experience to challenge the scare line.
And you think that's fine?
It's not just about illegal.
I've never said that's right, and you know full well I've never said that's right.
Okay.
So don't throw accusations around that you cannot back up.
You threw some at me.
Okay, let me ask Liam for his response here, because the Prime Minister Keir Starmer has called reforms policy around indefinite leave to remain racist and immoral, but obviously the Labour Party has its own rules around this and they want them to be stricter. So where is the line around what is racist and immoral on this?
Look, the announcement made by Nigel Farage recently that he would scrap retrospectively people who have the right here on indefinite leave to remain, I know would affect thousands of people in the constituency I represent in Beckenham and Penge. As a teenager, I spent years at the Royal London Hospital, and to the points made earlier,
it's moving the goalpost. So now you can get it after 5 years. What Shabana Mahmood said is that you can get it after 10 years if you meet certain requirements. And if you don't meet certain requirements, what happens after 10 years? Do you get kicked out then? Why is that not racist? We're not talking about race, by the way.
Okay, briefly.
Your policy is retrospectively saying to people who've come here.
So is yours.
No, it's not.
Okay,
No, it's
please let him
not.
respond.
Who've come here, who've fulfilled their side of the bargain, who work in our public services, who work in business, to say you're going to scrap it retrospectively, and the language that comes with it as well.
Tell me one language that comes with it.
Hang on a second. So you're saying your policies are different because this won't apply retrospectively?
They are different. They're different. But let me just say on the language point then, you know, the comments made by Sarah Potchin last week on TV, that's racist language. To say that she feels uncomfortable seeing black and Asian faces on TV adverts, that is racist language, and that accompanies the policies that you put forward.
I'm sorry.
Very briefly,
Yeah, very
do you
briefly.
agree that it is racist language?
I agree. If you take that sentence in a singular sentence, most things can be taken misconstrued if you take it out of context. So, she's not a racist person. I'd never be in a party that's racist. I'm a daughter of immigrants. I wouldn't have worded it like that way, no.
We're going to leave it there. Thank you.
What that proves is the playbook. Accuse, moralize, then pivot to the NHS will collapse as a shield. She doesn't bite on the guilt trip. She counters that Brits want to work, and she separates legal, contributing immigrants from illegal arrivals and criminals, as described in the transcript. Even the end of the segment shows the media move. The conversation gets dragged into a side argument about racist language instead of the public's real questions: who gets removed, who gets protected, and who pays. People watching this aren't crazy for wanting order. A country that can't enforce its own rules can't protect its own citizens. And that's true in Britain, and it's true in America too.